So in the first attempt, we built a screen, took the input of name, tried to create a record with that, but unfortunately when we actually look at the lesson object record, we find we have name, but we also have a type and a season, a start date, and length in minutes is probably the easy ones to look at. So when we go out here, what we want to do is we want to go in on the screen and be able then to add a field. And so we're going to add a field. And the first one we're going to add is a drop-down list. And the drop-down list we're going to call session type, right? And so we can call that session type and add it in. And it's going to, so at this point we need to, and I'm going to drag down just so you can see the whole screen. We want to create a new choice, and this is a Picklist choice. And so we're going to again call this session type. And we can add a description called session type. Let's call it session type Picklist. And let's go on ahead actually up here and add the word Picklist. That makes it easier for us to see and to recognize kind of what it is that we're doing with it. So this is a Picklist, and what we're going to do is we're going to go out and look at the session object, the HS session. And so if we drop down on that list, we can pick HS session here. And for a field, we're going to do a drop down on custom, and we're going to go out and grab type, and we're going to say OK. And that's going to add that as a field. And then we're able to add one more field. And this time we're going to do it as a multi-select pick list. And so we're going to say add that, and we can add it from here. And this one we're going to call it is session season. We can add it. We're going to go with that. And we're again looking at the session. I'm sorry, this is going to be a, we're going to create a new pick list. And we're going to call this one, again, a pick list here. And we're going to call this session season pick list. And we're going to add a description of session season pick list. And this one we're going to make it multi-select. We're again going to go in on session. And this is because we're going to this custom object. And the field this time, when we select for it, should give us just season, because that's the only multi-select that we're looking at. So I'm going to say OK to that. And now we have season in session. We want to add one more field, and this is a date and time field. And we want to call this start time, start date. And so we're going to call this start date and time. And we're going to, it's basically going to be an input, and we're going to say OK. And then the next one we're going to add, OK, right? Actually, well, this is going to bring us back out. So we need to go right back in. And we're adding one more field before we save it. And that was a number field. And this one is going to be the duration of the lesson duration, right? Lesson duration in minutes. And allow that to come unique. With this, our default value we're going to say is an hour. So let's just go on ahead and give it 60. The scale is 0. This is the number of decimal places you're going to use. And so we're going to say OK to that. And next, once we've gathered those screen entries, then we have to go in on the record itself and say, okay, if we're going to create the record, we now need to add rows. And so we're going to add 3 rows, right? And so the first row that we're going to add, and these are, and we can do it as time. I'm sorry, let me go into session. Let's do it as start time. We're going to say start date. It actually collects as a time. And then we're going to add type. So we're going to add session type, and we're going to add season, and then we're going to add duration. I think we called it, what do we call it here? Length, right? And so what we're going to say here is length in minutes. And so we're able to then go in and say, let's take a screen input, and we can add in the numbers from that, and we can add in here. These are, again, a screen inputs. This was a screen multi-select field, and we can call it season. And then this one was a choice field, right? Session type. And so we're going to select session type. And this is the start date. And we're going to say this is basically what they're going to be doing is recording whatever came in as an input field from the start date and time. And then we're also seeing kind of one other field down here, which is interesting, right? We want to assign a variable. So we're going to say, let's create a new variable here. And we're going to create a variable and call it session ID. And that way we're able to work with that as a next step. We're going to change this to input output, and the default record is going to come from that variable, so we're fine. And so this is tracking the session IDs created. And that would be for future records here that we want to do. Records created. And we're going to say OK. And say OK. And now what we're able to do is to save it one more time. We're able to then run it. And what we now have is we're going to again call it demo 1. And we've got a this one, and we're going to say, let's go ahead and give it a fall choice. And we're going to give it right now start, a duration. We're going to accept the default of 60, and we're going to say next. And it's going to say basically, because nothing bad happened, let's see what happens. So if we go back out here, and taking a look at our lessons record, we can see that we did create a demo with a type, a season, and a length, and a start time. So it all worked. And now we can move on to the next phase. We're going to add lesson participants and instructors and create kind of multiple records. Thanks for watching.